Hola, buenos días. Soy Nico.
Excuse me! Excuse me! Excuse me! Excuse me! Excuse me! Excuse me! Excuse me!
And today we're here to close out another week's worth of content with another Friday video. But before we get started, if you like this kind of content, make sure to follow me on patreon.com/Nicosaesthetics for more exclusive lives, weekly videos to be a part of the podcast, which is airing. Nico, I actually put up an episode yesterday. If you have not seen it, go check it out. It's about intimacy starvation in 2024. Well, 2023 rolling into 2024. Basically, the complexities of being isolated, not only due to the panini press, but also just today's social climate. You know, it's difficult to make friends. It's hard to actively meet new people, but that's not what this video is about. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely go check it out. And if you can, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to help the channel with the algorithm. Now that we've got plugging out of the way, let's get started on the actual video. So today we're going to be talking about Rico Pruitt coming back to Onlyfans. Nico, if you do not know, Rico Pruitt was actually a star in a very popular web series called About Justin, which is a spinoff from About Him, if I'm remembering correctly. So I announced a couple of weeks ago on my channel how he was basically saying that he was going into retirement, that he wanted to get back into acting, and that he wanted to move forward with his life from this chapter. And not to my surprise or anyone's really, he basically said that like a crack addict, he's back at it. I'm going to play you the video now.
Thought you was done with OnlyFans. Well, like a crack addict, I'm back at it. You know, just support me. Or don't. You know, I gotta sleep with these decisions I make at night. I have to pay these bills. It's a lot of things that I wanna, you know, do in life before, you know, I am taken out of here.
So as you saw in that video, he was basically saying that you can support him if you want to or if you don't, but at the end of the day, he's the one that has to pay these bills and live with the decisions he made in life. So he's back in OnlyFans and or adult content creation. And a lot of people in the comments were not on his side, unsurprisingly, basically saying, oh, he's going to go back into retirement again and then come back out. He's probably only doing this because he can't pay his bills, or what a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of content creators end up coming back because even when they do leave the industry, they can't seem to find a job that pays them as frequently and or as much as sex work does. And I wanted to have that conversation as a viable reason as to why people keep coming back out of retirement, not only to address the comments saying such as, you know, with all the jobs that have been created by the most recent president, Joe Biden, there shouldn't be any reason as to why someone can't go back into the workforce rather than going back to OnlyFans. But what a lot of people don't realize is that, first and foremost, if you do not have a degree, it is very hard to find a singular job that's going to give you a livable wage. And I say that because even with degrees, there are people out here who have PhDs who are making less than $50,000 a year because they can't find an opening in their field rather than not being prepared. So in this economy where money is tight, you know, times is tough like leather, I'm not necessarily going to look down on anybody that decides to go back to an industry that was paying them a livable wage. But at the same time, what a lot of people don't understand is that sex work is very lucrative. Nico, even if we're looking past the OnlyFans, you know, market, I've seen documentaries about sex work where there are pole dancers, for example, who have been in the industry for over 10 years in their 40s to 50s saying they're still on the pole just because it's easier to get, let's say, $500 to $1,000 a night rather than working at McDonald's flipping burgers 40 hours a week and making like $400 a week. So I definitely understand that, especially when we see other content creators coming forward about how much they allegedly make, such as, let's say, Fat Cat, who said that he rakes in enough to be considered a middle-class white family. He posted his OnlyFans bank receipts and said that he makes over $300,000 a year, and saying that money is very easy to make, and Black people need to be more open-minded about chasing different avenues for money, such as you do not have to work at the white man's business, saying you can make $10,000 easily just going live on TikTok, which is wild to assume, but actually true. I know famous TikTokers that make bank, and I'm just sitting here like, maybe I'm on the wrong platform, Nico. Maybe I'm on the wrong platform because YouTube always monetizes me. But there are many ways to make money that's just not in the traditional sense that's usually emphasized and pushed for our community. But at the same time, like someone also said, sex work isn't necessarily for everybody. They said this in retort to Fat Cat's statement, basically saying, OnlyFans and or sex work is basically like being an artist. Anyone has the capability to do it. Anyone has the capability to paint a picture, to draw a picture, to turn on a camera and pop some pussy. Nico, if I'm being quite honest, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make it mainstream and or you're going to make a livable wage off of it. That's the reality a lot of people do not understand about OnlyFans. And I talked about this before, even before I started it, where I had to emphasize it is an oversaturated market. If you do not have an already built-in fan base, it's going to be difficult to continuously grind until it's a livable wage, especially if you aren't one of the people who are doing, let's say, collaborations, which are in theory marketing tactics. Nico, if you did not know, I view collaborations as like a mixing of brands and opening your videos and or content to different audiences. So if you're not going that route, you're basically in an isolated, oversaturated space, clawing to be seen out of like the hundreds of people also trying to get on. So it's an interesting dialogue that I feel like we don't have full conversations on, especially because of how people treat sex workers and view them in society. But it makes sense to me as to why somebody would return to, let's say, OnlyFans, where you make consistent money based on how much effort you put into your work, especially with someone as big as Rico Pruitt, who is known within the gay community. I'm sure he doesn't necessarily have to do a lot to get, let's say, a new collab or a new business venture off the ground if he markets it on his platforms. But I definitely want to hear your opinions down below. Do you understand why a lot of content creators come back to the industry, seeing as how they do make a larger amount of quick money rather than if they were to try to go back to school, if they were try to reintegrate into corporate America? Because layoffs are happening more often. People are complaining about the price of living while the wages that are actually being paid aren't going up. And though it's looked down upon, the pleasure industry is actually very lucrative. So once again, I understand, but I want to hear your opinions down below, and I will see you guys next time. Boop. And now for a brief yet sincere shout out to this week's Third Eye Tier subscribers, codename Sticky and Phoenix T. Your continued support is greatly appreciated, and thank you once again to everyone who supports the channel. Also, I really like the nickname codename Sticky. And unfortunately, this week's live streams might be canceled because I will be trying to attend the GayVN Awards, which is like the Adult Entertainment Awards. So if I'm able to snag a ticket, I'll give you guys a behind the scenes look at that. And I'll see you guys next time.